So you wanted to make a change. Question is, where do you start? You want to make a change, and maybe you've had some times in the past where you've done this, but have not been successful. We're going to talk about the secret sauce today. What are the different parts, different ingredients you need to bring in together to guarantee that you can have a good, successful outcome? I've been using this process for over 20 years. It's helped me to be successful in business ventures within corporate America. It's helped me within counseling, coaching, consulting. I've implemented some of these basic principles within for-profit settings, non-profit settings, charitable organizations. I've also done this within governmental entities, working on grants. I've done it within quality assurance work, going in within an organization and maybe doing an organizational assessment because they're looking to be more effective in certain ways. Maybe they want to be more efficient on their processes. They're looking for better retention rates. They're looking for better overall customer satisfaction. So let's go ahead and get started to see, what do you do first? Well, the first thing to look at is, why do I want to do this? What is your motivation? It is extremely important for you to know your why. So, the important thing about your why is that you will face challenges, you will face doubts, there will be obstacles, there's naysayers, there's your own history of maybe not being successful at certain times. All of these things will be there working against you being successful in making those changes or accomplishing those goals that you have before you. Motivation to change is key to your success. If you have the right motivation to change, it can increase your actual outcomes, your potential for success, by greater than 50% just by knowing exactly what it is that is giving you the drive. You would need that, again, as I said, when the obstacles, when the wind blows, the storms come, and it presses against you. Are you going to stay consistent, or are you going to give up? My core value is family. If there's anything else, I'm looking about how I'm approaching life, decisions that I'm making, any priorities that I'm setting. If I'm doing a venture like this, it's going to pass through my lens of family. If my why for doing something is connected to family, I am able to stand and press through anything and be able to accomplish that goal because family is my core value. So finding your why will also be very important to know where your values are. Some people have an idea. I'll do a separate video on. It's called a values card. Sort is one particular skill you can use in that. But I'll help you to go through a process so you can effectively tap into your why. You get your why. You have the motivation. You have the courage now. You can stand against the doubt. And so the question is, what do I do next? Next thing you do is you set up to assess exactly where you are. So in order to get started, you have to go ahead and do the internal assessment. And so I'm going to look at this in a few different contexts. Let's start from a personal context. Let's say I'm dealing with anxiety or I'm dealing with relational difficulties. Let's say my relational difficulty, I go through an assessment, I'm realizing that as the results of the assessment, we have a communication problem. Well, then I'll use that to kind of drive the process as we talk later. If you know that you have a communication problem, everything else that we do going forward will be tapped in on how you can actually have better communication. And the thing is, if your why is that you want a better relationship and you find out where you are as the results of the assessment is that you're having some difficulties in as far as communicating your expectations to your partner, um, we can now work towards a plan on how we can move you forward. Let's say an organizational assessment, you can have great product, you can have a great atmosphere, and you might not have a match just on leadership style to employees. Maybe the employees were used to a very directive style where they had a leader who was hands on, told them what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and they executed. They didn't have any thought. You bring in a new leader now, and this new leader is it's very laissez-faire. This person is more uses a guiding style. They like to come alongside the individual and walk them through a process. Well, that guiding style, even though it's an effective style of leadership, if you're not communicating that and it doesn't match well with the employees you have in the organization, that can cause some problems because that guiding style for a person that's more of an introvert, I don't really want you to be next to me trying to guide me and tell me what to do. Maybe I want you to just send me an email, give me a specific and brief task, and I can go ahead and carry that task out. So assessment like that within an organization, trying to see what am I dealing with, because maybe I was able to identify that because you had a retention problem because you're losing employees. Well, there's a natural attrition that'll happen because you're going to end up getting employees that match that style. Those are the ones that are going to stay. So if you can know what your leadership style is and have an idea of your leadership, if you can know what your organizational values are, if you can see where your strengths are, where your weaknesses, where your opportunities are, where your threats, with that overall SWOT analysis, like say within an organization, you have that assessment, you know what's before you, then you can make some decisions on how do I want to move forward. So that's a good thing now. I know where I am. I know why I want to move forward. And now I need to set a goal to know what will it look like if I actually am able to say have better communication. What do you want your relationship to look like when that communication is better? What will be the outcomes of better communication? Will it be maybe you want to reduce arguing? Maybe you want to um, make sure that in when you're having conversations that you actually did communicate those expectations. I had a conversation with someone today and they were like, "Oh man, expectations again. I've been knowing this person for quite a while. They've been doing great in life. They ran into a little bump in the road right now, trying to go through these uncertain times with the pandemic." And he was like, "Man, I just wanted to kind of reach out to you. I've done coaching with them in the past, and we did an assessment, found out where they were going and what it is they want to accomplish. And what we realized is that wow, their expectations that placed on themselves was unrealistic. And so with the high expectations that they had placed, even though they were doing well and exceeding what might be the industry standard, according to themselves, they were failing. So what we did is we set some appropriate goals, realign their actual expectations, and I'm pretty sure that when we do a 30-day checkup, this person will again be meeting or exceeding goals according to appropriate expectations. Well, we've been using this communication piece and using that as an example within a relationship. Often you may think you communicated to a partner or spouse, a sibling, it could be even a child, what it is you actually want from them. I find very often in family counseling or relationship counseling that you would expect that person would know that without telling them, but maybe you have never communicated that expectation. Secondly, once you communicate that expectation, did that person agree and say I will engage according to the expectations that were set? So first of all, I need to make sure I'm actually communicating that out. And the second thing I need to do is make sure that there's some agreement. Will be the same thing within an organization. I can say, we are going to implement this. Um, that would be great. I also want some feedback to make sure that there's buy in and we actually have the whole team, the organization ready to implement that. Or I could do it in that way where I would think the team knows what's going on. I start assigning activities and moving us in a certain direction, but I've never communicated the expectation, never let them know where it was going. And it feels like chaos to them. They feel like everything's changing around them. It's already in certain times, and then morale goes down. And it's something that could be great for your company and great for your employees. But because you didn't communicate the expectations, now you have some problems. So we've now set the goal. What do you want to do next? That's the part that's most people love. Let's get into the planning phase. Where we started, right? The why. We want to do the assessment to see where you are. Now we get into the actual goal setting to see exactly what it is you're trying to get. Then you go into the planning. For all you task oriented, activity based people, often you start straight on the planning side and implement. Assessment first, right? Goal setting first. Make sure you have your why and get everybody set for your motivational enhancement. Then you do the plan. And then, of course, after the plan is done, you implement the plan. So, individuals that are very task driven, they will like to plan, execute, and a lot of trial and error. Again, that can cause some serious problems within an organization for individuals you have that like to have a predictable, productive environment, and they don't do well with constant changes and just trying to figure it out and being spontaneous. For them, they want to make sure that they understand how to perform and then give it everything they have so they can perform. So we got the planning, we know how I'm going to get there. So again, I want to reiterate, you've now gotten to this point with your employees, or you gotten to this point with your partner, your spouse, your sibling, your individual that you're trying to work out this communication piece with, and you want to know what are the stakeholders, who are your support system. It is extremely important when you're making a major life change that you have a positive support system. A key thing that people want to do is maybe they want to become more healthy and they want weight loss. Well, if I would want to lose weight and change my eating habits and do those things, it would be very important that those around me, especially those around me that's involved in meal planning and what I'm eating and what's around me, know what's going on so they can support and maybe not hinder what it is that I'm trying to do. Now, if that person is not only on board, often they may decide to be your biggest champion and come alongside you. That way, in a big way, increases the chance that you'll have a positive outcome. So again, communication I use on that other particular example. Also, in dealing with an organization, who are your champions within the organization? Who are your stakeholders? Who do you need to make sure that this will actually happen? If I have an organization and I need the sales team to implement this for us to become more efficient and to increase our customer satisfaction, because I'm getting scores that say that it feels like they're not getting accurate information, and when they're calling back for customer service later, they're saying that what they were told and what they got and in the process didn't line up. If I'm trying to change that workflow and change that process and set new expectations, I will not be successful if my sales force is not with me, if they're not bought into this process. Well, what I want to do is communicate the why. Well, if you want more sales, if you want more residual income, you want more return customers, we can build on the referral base. Referral based sales, I always come up with a better return on investment. You get a better percentage. I made a lot more money from my referral base or my return customers than just customers that came up when I was selling more real estate or selling cars or anything that was a big ticket item. Referrals and repeat customers, you make way more money than that just walk up spur of the moment customer or the person who's want to fight price. If I can communicate the why to the actual Salesforce to let them know that their percentage of commission, their actual income can increase if we can all come together and implement this. That's a good why for them. It's a why for me for the actual company. And now we can go through the processes of change, right? So we assess what needs to be done. We see where we are. We go ahead and we set a goal. We make a plan. We see who coming with us, and what's the thing that we're going to look at next is what do I need? What type of resources do I need to make this happen? Um, when you're looking at it from a business, it's pretty good. Do I need capital? Do I need training? Um, do I need a specific set of skills to be able to bring this about? Let's say again, going back within a home or relationship, and you're dealing with communication and expectations. Maybe I don't know how. I talked about having a why based on values. I'm not sure what my core values are. Well, let's go through an actual process to identify your core values. Let's go through a process of I will teach you a new coping skill. You practice the new coping skill. You talk about the struggles. You see if it's bringing the outcome. What do we do? Again, review what our coping skills. We might need to add new coping skills or new things. And so training may be, and education may be a big part of that, monitoring and looking at where you are on making progress. So that's where we want to look at next. How do I get there? The implementation strategy is very important. When you start to implement, you will then map out exactly how you're going to engage in the activities that you have set. So, as a quick tip, I want to make sure I have you understand why I use the word activities. When it comes to time management, I'm a big proponent of saying that you can't manage time. That clock is ticking right now. I can't stop the clock from ticking. What I can do is make sure that I'm doing the most effective activities within the time that I have allotted. So I want to make sure I'm using the most successful things that I'm doing with my time so that I can produce the best outcome. So in the implementation, I'm going to lay out when I'm going to do these activities, what activities they are, what are the expectations, the projections, and I'm going to monitor. So I'm going to organize what I'm doing. I'm going to monitor exactly the results, and I'm going to track them. And then every so often, I'm going to go ahead and do a review of those things that I'm tracking. Then I'm making information based decisions. So based on the tracking, I may notice that, let's say I was trying to increase sales and we were doing different type of things. We were looking at sending out email marketing. We were looking at using advertisement on TikTok or advertising on Instagram. We also did some mailers, or we did some other things like a second email campaign. And we then say we mixed in some Facebook marketing. So now I'm tracking all of those sources and see what's more effective. Well, once I can narrow down and say, let's say that for my age group, my demographic, I'm going from 27 to 45 years old. They're the one that buy my product. They're the one who engage my service. I'm getting the best response for Facebook. On TikTok, I'm getting hardly anything as far as response. I'm not getting a lot of bang for my buck. Might reduce TikTok, refine it some, and then go ahead and put more resources into Facebook if I'm actually getting conversions where these ads are turning into customers that we're engaging and we're actually ending up with an actual sale. So organize what you're doing. So make sure it's set up and structured. Monitor what's going on, monitor the activities, make sure that what you try to implement, that the training is there. Your Salesforce, using that example, knows how to engage. Your marketing team is on board. They know why, what it is you're trying to accomplish. They know the goal, and then you track it. You gather those that information. Well, you say, how do I apply this to those personal goals that you were talking about? Well, you can actually do surveys. You can talk to that individual, whether it's a family, a partner, and you can start to gauge whether or not you're having particular outcome changes. One, through to talking to the person themselves, they can give you some subjective feedback on what's going on. Also, if the communication issue was leading to disagreements, it was leading to some other things that we identify through the assessment, you can organize, look at that, monitor it, and track to see, are those behaviors lessening? Are you having a better mood? Are there less arguments? Are you able to communicate better? So there'll be things that you set up in that planning process to know whether or not you're achieving those outcomes. So thank you for taking this time to look at this video. If you would like to learn more about assessment, that one is coming next. And then we'll be adding videos for all 8 of these particular points that we covered today. And I just appreciate you guys looking at the channel. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.